Hey crew, I really don't know what to say here. So yeah, this is a thing in Destiny 2 right now. This is also the legendary campaign, so I am locked 15 light level under, but it doesn't even matter. I just want you guys to watch this for a few seconds and take it all in. So for this build, we're combining a few different things to have cold snap grenades on demand for the Stasis Warlock. And remember, Stasis Warlock, and any Stasis builds for that matter, should excel at crowd control, and this one does just that, and does it at the best. I think it is literally the best build in the game now, because in all practicality, when running something like a Grandmaster, for 90% of players out there, this is the type of build you want. The bonk hammer builds and the 1-2 punch builds, they're all absolutely amazing, and the raw DPS is insane. But it takes a lot of setup, and only maybe about 10% or less of players could actually pull it off in end game content. Probably more like 2%. But anyone can do this build, so pay attention to everything and you'll be good to go. It's literally click your grenade button over and over and over, which is kind of crazy. The ease of use of this is just dumb. I will be streaming live over on Twitch when this video goes live on YouTube, so come on over and say hi and hang out. And if you want to get this sweet long live the queen emblem, all you got to do is give 2 subs on Twitch while I'm live, and make sure to have your Bungie account linked with Twitch. It's pretty easy, so I'll see you guys all over there. The link to my Twitch is down in the pinned comment and the description for you. And for my normal viewers, if you could let this video play out once to the end for me, then that goes a long way in supporting the channel. So thank you if you do that for me. I really appreciate it. With the release of Witch King, we have been on Void 3.0 a lot because why not? It's super fun. But I decided to do some testing, and what I found is pretty crazy with the interaction on Stasis here. First off, to get this build going, you need to have the 2 aspects, Ice Flare Bolts and Glacial Harvest. Now, Glacial Harvest is freezing targets create stasis shards around the frozen targets. Higher tier combatants create more shards, so you're going to be using those shards within the build. And then we also have Ice Flare Bolts, which really make this build shine. Shattering a frozen target spawns seekers that track and freeze other nearby targets. And we also have the Cold Snap Grenade. This is the grenade you're going to want to be taking advantage of, and it's a grenade that freezes on impact and sends another seeker to find and freeze targets. Now the 4 fragments are Whisper of Fissures, increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. We're defeating a ton of frozen targets here. Whisper of Chains, while you are near frozen targets or a friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets. We get a +10 recovery here, and we're always near frozen targets, and that's a 25% damage reduction right there. We also have Whisper of Conduction, nearby stasis shards track to your position. We get a +10 resilience, +10 intellect out of this, which is great. And then we have Whisper of Rending. Kinetic weapons do increased damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets. So kinetic weapon damage, this is a 46% damage buff. So it's a very good buff when something is frozen or you're shooting a stasis crystal. If you didn't want to do Whisper of Conduction where the stasis shards track to you, I think in harder content this fragment is really great. But in easier content, you could always do Whisper of Bonds. Defeating a frozen target grants you super energy, and we're defeating a ton of frozen targets. So if you want to get that super really fast, that's an easy way to do it. Now, as far as choosing your weapons, you're free to do whatever you want here. But remember, if you are using Whisper of Rending, kinetic weapons do increased damage to frozen targets, and we're freezing a lot of targets here. So you want a good kinetic weapon. This can be anything though. It can be one of the new weapons like the Assault Rifle Crate with Headstone. There's a lot of different options here. You could literally go, old school Judgment, Adrenaline Junkie Demo, all kind of stuff. But you want something that just puts in some power here. I chose to go with Striga in the gameplay you're watching, and that is because there's a cool interaction here with Stasis. We get a 46% damage buff to our Striga, which you guys all know is absolutely amazing already. But on top of that, the poison damage actually gets the increase in damage buff too, which kind of blew my mind when I figured that out. But it's a really cool interaction there. But again, doesn't have to be this. You can use whatever you want, completely up to you. Now for our exotic of choice, we're using Osmiomancy Gloves. This is a new exotic this season. One, you can pick it up just by completing the Legend Lost Sector on Arms Day on your Warlock. It is coded that you're supposed to get the arms exotics that you do not already have, so that's a quick way to get it. And you can also beat the Legend campaign and choose this exotic. Same with the boots. You could choose the new exotic boots too. You have to choose between one of those from the Legendary campaign. Now, the exotic armor perk here is Fervid Cold Snap. Your Cold Snap grenades have an additional charge that recharges quicker on direct impact. The Seeker spawned from Cold Snap grenades travels further. So the real important thing here is Cold Snap grenades have an additional charge and they recharge quicker on direct impact. And this is based on every direct impact that happens on one grenade. So when you throw a grenade out and it hits the first person, you're getting a nice chunk, about 50% of your grenade back. When it hits the second person, getting another 30% of your grenade back. When it hits a third person, you basically get a full charge of grenade back. If it ends up changing even further, then you're good. So at a base value with literally just the subclass, when you're talking about Ice Flare Bolts and you're talking about these gloves, Osmiomancy gloves, you can chain your grenade over and over and over as long as there are 3 to 4 enemies that you are freezing. But with the mods that we're lining up here, we're going to make it even easier. We're going to set it up to where when we throw one grenade, we have to chain it and freeze one person. If we freeze that one person, that one enemy, we will have a grenade charge back, which means when we throw a grenade and we chain 4 or 5 enemies, we will have the 2 full charges of our grenade back with this build. So on our helmet here, we're running elemental shards. Stasis shards count as stasis elemental wells for you. And we're spawning a bunch of stasis shards with Glacial Harvest. Freezing targets create stasis shards around the frozen targets. And those track to us with Whisper of Conduction. Now, since those shards count as wells, we are putting on Elemental Charge. Become Charged with Light by picking up an Elemental Well. And we get 2 stacks of Charged with Light because it counts as a stasis well for us. Now, how we're going to use those wells is on the other 3 items, we are literally using the mod Firepower. While charged with light, regain a portion of your grenade energy when you use your grenade, consuming 1 stack of charged with light. This is completely overkill. This is to make sure that I have 2 cold snaps all the time, that I can just chain. So you could only use 1 Firepower mod here, you can maybe use 2, you don't have to use all 3, you could do a lot of different stuff here. You could take off 2 Firepower mods and you could put on Explosive Well Maker, because when you shatter a frozen target and it with Whisper of Fissures and it shatters a bunch of enemies, that counts as Explosive Well Maker. And then you could throw on Well of Life if you want some extra damage reduction, some healing, right? You want that healing to just pick up a well, instant heal, and have the healing for 10 seconds. So there's a lot of different options here. But with Firepower, when you have 3 stacked, you literally get 50% of your grenade back. Which means when we throw 1 grenade, okay, and we freeze 1 target, that gives us a grenade charge back. If we freeze 2 or 3 targets with that throw, we're getting close to 2 grenades back here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. There's a couple builds up on screen here. If you have not seen them, give them a watch. You'll really enjoy them. They're great builds this season. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and have a great rest of your day.